Well, some people thought we wouldn't be back, but they were wrong. This is the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio, powered by the Recovery Room. I'm Dave. This is Matt, the owner of the Recov. Top of the morning, buddy. How you feeling? Getting ready for our Vegas vacation?
Your blessings, man. Yeah, I'm ready for some vacation. We're not in Jamaica, but I guess according to you, the weather out there in Vegas is going to be pretty damn proper for us, my friend.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. At first, I was looking at this weather a couple of days back, guys and gals, and it was in the 60s. My mother even commented in on the program, if you recall last week, and said, "Boys, when you're in Vegas, it's going to be in the 60s. Thanks, Mom. Well, it turns out it's not going to be in the 60s. It's going to be in the high 70s, the 80s, and even the 90s.
Nice.
It's going to be fantastic. Top of the morning, Thomas, UWL's Thomas, Joey Miller. What up, Joey? Top of the morning to you. He says, good morning, guys. How about the Twins start to the season? Fuck that shit. And then top of the morning to Jason P1 Breacher. Breacher, how about them Brewers? How about them Brewers? Oh, by the way, Cubs still suck.
Yeah, I'm all right with that, though. Obviously, I don't think we should have to get into too much of the Cubs today. I know you're looking forward to talking about the Brewers. They've had a great start, man. I don't know where you want to go with it. I'm just happy that everybody, thanks for joining us. I got to knock off the rust a little bit. You know, it's been a while since I've been back on with Dave, and he's used to this. But, hey, we already have some our viewers and listeners chiming in. So thanks for getting back with us today.
Yeah, I told Matt there could be a possibility that nobody would be here. Everybody would forget. We'd be sitting here isolated, lonely, talking to ourselves and amongst nobody else in a room in which you'd want to see a crowd. That is the feeling that you get in large part when you do radio during the middle of a COVID pandemic. You're sitting in a little box and you're like, wait, is anybody listening? Is anybody still alive? And it's hard to tell. So I feel like I've gotten used to this particular vibe. Not bad. Now that I see you on the screen, I feel like this is a full house.
I just didn't know if we were
full house, baby.
We were talking before we came on. I didn't know if we were going to just do like all Vegas movie quotes, just you and I for the rest of the show, or talk some.
We could.
Yeah, it would be a great time. But it's let's go wherever you want to steer the ship, my friend.
All right. Well, I am your captain. And if I wanted to make a music reference, boom, they're an American band. Joey Miller doesn't even know who I'm talking about, Grand Funk Railroad, but he does ask us, in 36-year-old sophomore Joey Miller does ask us, do we need a bodyguard for Las Vegas? Joey, if you were a couple of years older, I guess, I would say let's head out. Now, Joey did come to our Brewers opening day party. Matt, we had that, of course, last week. Really fun time, really great turnout. Bob Schmidt won the set of Brewer baseballs, the commemorative set from the opening day that never was, actually, for Miller Park's final opening day back in 2020. We all remember what happened, sadly, to that particular opening day. COVID, dirty China virus, comes and takes it away from us. So, and I'm kidding him, of course. But anyways, it takes away our opening day. However, the baseball set that Bob Ibeck delivered to us from Nyko Sports is still fantastic. And it continues to increase in value because there was no Brewer opening day for that season. And so the last game at Miller Park, or the last opening season at Miller Park, never happened. So really fun time. I digress. Joey was in the house in 2 years. 2 years later, I think, Joey, you'd be able to come. Also, it would be good, Matt, for Joey to heal up. So he's just getting over like a full knee replacement almost. He had like everything torn, like LCL, MCL, meniscus, auto accident. Joey's a race car driver.
Oh, wow.
So it had something to do with that. But Joey, I appreciate your sentiment and your asking. Really do. Rob Dog also says this, Dave, your radio show got me through the pandemic, as that was the only thing left of pre-pandemic normal. Rob Dog, I appreciate that, man.
That's a hell of a compliment, man.
I appreciate that. I tell you what, I think during the pandemic, to be fair, and listen, I know how many of you guys and gals were out there with me and we were doing that thing together. But when you sit in that box and you don't have, the screen up, Matt, there isn't that visual interaction. It does feel a little bit different, obviously. But I do think that during that time of the pandemic, that's when we all grew a lot closer. I really think that, because we had only each other to sort of keep each other company. Many of us had to stay put in our houses for, some of us longer than others, but we at least had that sense of normalcy. I still came in, did the show every day. We still had people checking in on that time, the talk and text line. Here we've got our viewers checking in from Facebook, from Twitter, but Twitch and from YouTube. Anyways, it was a good I think, a good way for us to all get to know each other a lot better. So glad I was there for you, Rob.
I was just going to say, I think it would be more of a demographic thing. Maybe that's me being more the glass half empty guy. I think if you're out in like the bigger cities, New York, LA, and everything else, I don't think it really helped out anybody's politeness or anything going forward. But us people up here in the Midwest, we're still a group that, can hang tough together, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I think there's an overblown sense of niceness in the Midwest. Like I've lived out west. I've lived a lot of places. Nobody's that much fucking nicer here. Okay, let me just put that to bed. There's not that many nicer people here than there is like in California. Trust me, people like, I don't know if I'd want to go out there. Yeah, the people are just as bad as they are here as far as driving is concerned. Nobody can fucking drive there. Nobody can fucking drive here. I think that the term Minnesota nice is something that I heard, but I didn't realize it was so tongue in cheek. That just means like, oh, how are ya? Oh, it's so good to see you. And then behind their back, oh, Madge, I really, really hate Blair so bad. Oh, God, look at, she's so fat. Can you believe she's still trying to wear that? Oh, my God. And her rhubarb pie, just terrible.
It's too sour.
That's Minnesota nice, right? They look at you. Oh, it's so good to see you. How are the kids and the husband? Oh, Jake's doing great. Down at the car wash now, you say, huh? And behind their back, it's so sad for those poor kids. They can't afford Christmas presents anymore. Jake's a disgrace. I mean, seriously, got fired down there from the firm, is working at the car wash. It's just terrible. It's terrible. That's Minnesota nice. So the overblown sense of this whole thing from the Midwest is just,
I guess I was going, I did throw out the West Coast, but I guess I was putting in like Philly, New York, those were, I don't know. Living in a high rise where all you do is live in a high rise.
Sure.
There's no park. People get angry. And then
sure.
In the service industry, I really don't know how far people have gotten that much nice after COVID, but is what it is.
Well, I will tell you, you know who's nicer even after COVID? Greg. Our good friend Greg. I saw him the other day.
Yep. Tunes just had his birthday. He's a day after April Fool's Day. Otherwise,
right.
He would have been an April Fool, and he'd have to live with that for the rest of his life.
Wow.
Yeah. Happy belated Tunes.
He would have been an April Fool. Well, shit. I like that. That sounded really neat. All right. Speaking of neat, Milwaukee Brewers, Matt.
Yep.
Much better than your Cubs. Off to a 4-1 start. Spanked Rob Dog's parents, New York Mets, yesterday, 9-0. We'll be getting into that. The Milwaukee Bucks continue to roll. Johnny Davis, though, had himself a career night for the Wizards. We'll talk about the Bucks' victory over Washington last night. The national championship game, we weren't here for you to discuss that, but we'll talk a little bit about that. And then, Matt, yesterday, something came up that I'm just not sure how this is going to work or why this became the marriage, but it seemed like one that was just long in the making. The UFC and WWE are officially now a partnership, a co-company. It's wild stuff. Mike Schmidt's going to join us this morning on the Sports Carnival Carousel. Easy for me to say, right about 8:30. So stay tuned. We're back here in about 60 seconds. What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just a regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Do you have a wedding, anniversary party, or bat mitzvah coming up in your life? Then you need Hey Duda DJ services featuring Neil Duda, the Midwest Eminem.
No doubt about it, I'm done hammered, and that's every day. Brand so cloudy, dog.
Dropping sick beats while you enjoy your treats. No party is too big or too small. Quinceañeras, graduations, ice cream socials, or cocktail parties. Whatever the celebration, Hey Duda is rocking the foundation.
Here we go again, back with all our friends. Here comes the pain.
Neil Duda.
Ah, yes, the Duda. He was in the house for our Brewer opening day party. Really fun to see everybody again. The Recov is the place to be. And if you're a big Brewer fan, maybe, whoa, got a little hot there. Maybe you can't catch the Brewers because you don't have the exact package that carries Bally's Sports West or Bally Sports Wisconsin, whatever they're calling this shit now. Come on over to the Recov. We got you covered for Brewer baseball. Again, Matt, the Brewers yesterday surprised me quite a bit, facing off against Max Scherzer. Really spanked the Mets, man, 9-0, and hit 3 consecutive homers off Scherzer, which is something I don't think I've ever seen happen. Milwaukee's off to now a 4-1 start on the season. We've got a way too early poll question for you guys and gals, because I told you right about the start of the Major League Baseball's opening day. I get really juiced up for baseball at the beginning. Then I go to sleep for about 5 months and wake up again in August, because when summertime happens, I've got a lot of stuff going on outside. I'll catch a game when I can, but it's not something I'm going to avoid outside for, so I can sit inside and watch a game, right? So I want a way too early prediction for these NL Central leading Milwaukee Brewers right now. Where would you say the Brewers wind up? Win the NL Central, win the NL pennant, or goddammit, win the first ever Brewers World Series? I'll tell you what, our Twitter feed right now is getting some good action. 50% say they win the NL Central, Matt. 30% say they win the whole shebang. 20% land right there at the NL pennant. What about our Facebook group page? What's our audience saying about the Brewers on the Facebook group page?
At 71% is leading the way with they win the NL Central.
Okay.
I have to admit, Dave, I did my voting yesterday. I am abstaining from this
yesterday.
One for
I
me.
just put it up this morning.
No, I'm just I did my good deed yesterday with all my voting for all the local stuff. I can't vote on this. That's why I'm abstaining on this one today, just because it's way too early for me. And obviously, this is being a sports realist.
Sure,
it's just way too early for me. We did have somebody write in that they finished below 500. I don't see that happening. I think the Brewers should end up being right up there in the NL Central. Like you said, they came out hot. They're 4-1. They put 19 runs on the Mets in the last 2 games without giving up any runs. They beat the shit out of the Mets, who are supposed to be in the World Series, who spent a shit ton of money, and the Brewers are just coming out hot.
Well, and Milwaukee also, after losing that opening day game to Chicago, really not looking like they had any possibility of winning a game at all this season, because, of course, they couldn't hit the baseball. And I came here on the show afterwards and was like, yeah, I knew that. Well, after that game, they've been actually really, really good. Yesterday was the first day that they really went long, and they had been winning the games so far. I mean, their 3 previous victories, not a huge sample size, of course, but their 3 previous victories had been won largely in part because of small ball. I'm not entirely even sure that they hit a home run. I'd have to go back and check. That is James Jacobson, a.k.a. Boone's Farm, though.
Okay.
Matt, pessimist at large. He is really down on the entire Major League system right now. He is really down on the Milwaukee Brewers prospects. I can't remember exactly what Boone's Farm's specific issue with Milwaukee baseball was this year, but he did have a Facebook post. I feel bad, Boone's, because I read it the other day and I could see that you had some good points, but I didn't spend too much time. I saw some real negative stuff, and I just thought, okay, I'll come back to this later and see what you were saying. But needless to say, Boone's Farm is not having it, very down on Milwaukee so far.
Well, what I was going to say with is, not to throw you under the bus a little bit there, because you've been following the Brewers a lot more than I do, but we're looking at where their offense was going to come from. And it's been surprising, like you said, just after the first game. How about the rookie Bryce Terang kid?
Sure.
His first home run, it was a grand slam in front of his parents, his grandparents. So there's some offense coming from some of these younger kids. Like you said, they had back-to-back yesterday. So it's good to see that the Brewers have some offense to go with that pitching. Because the way they started off with pitching, obviously the first game of the year didn't go very well, but Peralta was throwing well, and then yesterday was pretty good as well. So we'll see what happens. They played again today, I believe.
Yeah, they play again today. I'm sure they play again every single day for the next 300 days, right? That's what baseball does. That's why I get really juiced up at the very beginning, and then I go to sleep for about 5 months, wake up in August and say, man, the Major League Baseball playoffs are so exciting. I do love them. All right, so Thomas, UWL. He checks in here, Matt, and he asks us if we can do him a favor. What do you say? Should we do Thomas a favor? Should we do young Thomas a favor here?
I should do a solid for him. Yeah.
All right. He wants us to wish a happy birthday to one of his friends, Sydney. Sydney, happy birthday.
See, I'm wondering, is that my friend's name Sydney, or is she from Sydney, Australia?
I would suggest it is his friend Sydney.
I'm just gonna
from Sydney, though. That would be interesting as well. And then we would say, good eye, mate. Wouldn't we? Wouldn't that be the appropriate way to say that? Or is that not like aloha?
I don't
know. Good eye, mate, not like aloha? Because, see, there have been some historians who debate if aloha, which means both hello and goodbye, isn't exactly the same as good eye, mate, which could mean hello, goodbye, and also I want a beer, and also where's my knife, and also where's my gun, and also where's that alligator, and also where's that crocodile, and also where's that snake. So if she is from Sydney, Matt, then we could ask this particular person. I would be curious to know, and this would be the query for Thomas, what is the friend's name if, in fact, they do hail from Sydney, the province of Australia, a continent, by the way, not just a country. I would like to know, is good I might the same as aloha? This is something inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I think I just read that wrong. Oh, my bad, bud.
No, I think that's a valid question.
I was waiting for your 1920 sportscaster voice today because we got a couple of them out of here already. So.
1920 sportscaster's voice. Okay, here we go. We can actually do this. And it's a wonderful day at the baseball park here. We've got Corbin Burns going up on the mound against the Milwaukee Brewers, biggest rival in whoever they're playing today. I haven't really checked, but Joey Miller does have a question for us, Matt. Is Corbin Burns going to go over 6.5 Ks today? And of course, the Ks mean something that we all know here in the deep, deep South, but we're going to say it's strikes today. Is Corbin Burns going to go over 6.5 strikes? I don't fucking know. Is Corbin Burns pitching today? I guess. I mean, is he? You tell me.
I'll look it up for you, brother.
That's fine. Yeah, you look up the Corbin Burns thing.
Mets versus Brewers.
And tell me what Corbin Burns did in his first game. Because no, was it terrible? Because I remember he was the opening day starter.
Yeah, the Cubs just put 4 on him in 1 inning. And so the Brewers he didn't have that bad of a game. The Brewers bats didn't show up. It was a cold day in Wrigley.
That's right. And Corbin doesn't want me to go back to calling him, Matt, what I called him when he had a really rough season. Do you know what that was? Do you remember what his nickname was?
It was Meatball or something like that?
Yeah. It was. Good remembering.
I'm trying,
Meatball Burns. Good.
Haven't had too many Stacks Family Farms today yet.
Check out the big brain on Matt there. All right. So again, Crew crushes the Mets now 4-1 on the season. The poll question that we've got for you guys and gals on our Facebook group page and our Twitter feed, which is at the Sports Carney, is this. What is your way too early prediction for this Milwaukee baseball team for this season? Is it that they win the NL Central? Is it that they win the National League pennant, which they got close to a couple of years ago? Lost to the Dodgers in 7, remember? Or do you think they can win the whole damn thing? I mean, Milwaukee hasn't been to a World Series in 41, 42 years now. So could this possibly be their year? I don't know. It's
a hell of a party, my friend.
It's way too early, but that is this morning's poll question. Take it on our Facebook group page and our Twitter feed. We'll continue to update here throughout the program. I do want to make another baseball note. Good friend of the program, Bob Ibeck, who joined the show a number of times back when we were on the radio. We've gotten him on the program here once. Bob joining us on video and online is not necessarily, his comfort zone. Okay. So we'll say that. But Bob Ibeck's son, Kevin, is the lead professional scout for the Tampa Bay Rays. So really high up in the Rays organization, a big reason why Tampa Bay continues to be a really solid team year in, year out. The Tampa Bay Rays are off to the best start in baseball this season at 5-0. The reason that I want to bring this up is not only to say, congratulations to Bob for raising such a smart baseball son and continuing a baseball legacy. He was the PR director of the Cubs and just a world-renowned sports journalist, but also for really calling out that small market, and not just small market teams, but teams that don't spend money can still remain incredibly competitive, if not downright dominant at times, by being really good at one thing. And this is something that I talked about downstairs at the recovery room with some of our friends, I don't know how many weeks ago, but it was prior to the start of the Brewers season. This is the one thing that can really help you dominate with a small market team, a budget baseball team: scouting. If you get your scouting right, if you have a great scouting department, you can compete. Look at what the Kansas City Royals did. And I'm not saying for the history of their entire organization necessarily, but during a 4 to 5 year stretch within the last decade and a half, they went to 2 World Series and won 1. The Kansas City Royals. The Tampa Bay Rays were a bad call against the Dodgers away from winning a World Series ostensibly a couple of years ago in the pandemic-shortened season. The point that I'm making, Oakland, the Athletics, even though they don't draw, they're competitive every single season. The point that I'm making is this. While it's nice to see the Brewers at 4-1 and we give them props, we say, hey, maybe they can go wild. Maybe they can win a series. If Milwaukee wants to remain competitive and over-competitive, be a championship contending team, this is not out of the question because they don't spend $400 million on their roster. Be better at scouting and get your job really, or not get your job, but get your players scouted right real early through your system at the right time. Use them when you can. Get rid of them when they become too much of a financial burden. Rinse, recycle, repeat. Keep doing it. The Dodgers, I know they're a much bigger market team, but the Dodgers, to their credit, hadn't really been big market spenders up until the recent years, probably the last 4 or 5 years. This is a team that basically develops all of their talent and always has had an incredible minor league system and always finds their guys through their own system. I mean, we can't go over the list of Dodger greats that they have brought up in their system, like mostly all of them. Like some of the recent Mookie Betts, those are recent acquisitions. Previous to that, I mean, the Dodgers were basically building from the ground up almost every single year.
Well, you just mentioned a bunch of small market teams, and there's one that you haven't mentioned, and they're going at it the absolutely completely opposite way. And I can't really say that San Diego is a small market town, but fuck, they're spending all their money just to go out and win it. So it's crazy how those small market teams, quote unquote, and the Brewers, and like you said, even the Marlins, the Rays, the Royals, they've all tried to build within, and that's one thing. That's how they can do it and sustain, their longevity.
Yeah, the Marlins. Think about this: the Marlins have won 2 World Series. The Marlins,
and they can't draw anybody.
An expansion team in Miami. When everybody's got something better to do in the middle of summer than go inside and sit in a sweltering fucking stadium.
Yeah,
right. They've won 2 World Series. The point that I was going to make first is congrats to the Rays. Good job.
Yeah.
But look at how these guys in smaller markets or strapped for cash market type situations are still able to compete year in, year out. They do it by really smart scouting. Managing has to be part of it. Okay, we got to give credit to all the managers of these teams because they've been great. And I think Craig Counsell is a fine manager. I think he gets a lot of shit that he probably doesn't deserve, but smart managing and really smart scouting. It'll be interesting to see what Schmidt has to say about that, because as a baseball player and then a guy that, watches, I'm sure in some tangent way, the NSU Wolves baseball team take the field, I'd be curious to know what he thinks, because I don't think that you can just consider one thing. It has to be a couple of things. Managing and scouting, though, to me, are the ways that you take a small market team, a team that maybe doesn't even have a big budget, because, San Diego is, God, they're not a small market. There's like 50 million people in Southern California, but, you get these teams that are well managed and they do good scouting. And if they don't have the money to spend, you can still win. You can still be a competitive baseball team.
Well, and I was going to say, one of the hardest jobs out there for any scout for whatever profession, it's Major League Baseball, because you have so many players, so many draft picks, so many things to go through, so many injuries. There's so much upside, so much downside. So to get it right in the MLBs, that's a very fucking difficult thing to do, my friend. That's all. I mean, just good.
It's one of the most difficult sports to both scout. It's one of the most difficult sports to draft in. Major League Baseball is one of, and we've had friends recently at the bar, RJ Seidel, good buddy, played in the Brewers minor league system for years, drafted out of high school. Major League Baseball is like the easiest sport to get drafted into and one of the hardest sports to actually make it into.
Yep.
You get drafted in the first few rounds of the NFL draft, chances are you're going to see some time. You get drafted in the first 3 rounds of the Major League draft, there is absolutely...
You're in the minors for 10 years.
Dude, there's no guarantee you ever play.
Yep.
There is no guarantee you ever play a game of Major League Baseball. It's just crazy. All right, Rob Dog's checking in once again in anticipation of Mike Schmidt's appearance here on the program. Says, also ask Coach Schmidt if he wants to come back to lacrosse where we aren't getting more snow. I took my folks, he says, to Mets Timmy Trumpet and played Tap for the Mets. I don't know that reference.
I know what taps is.
No, but I took my folks Mets Timmy Trumpet. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost on that one a little bit.
I don't know what that is. Rob Dog, explain that to us. Not familiar with the phraseology. Not familiar with that one.
Burns is pitching today, just so we know, brother.
Okay.
And it is a 12:40 start.
12:40 start, which means if you're hungry for lunch, it's Wednesday. It's Wing Wednesday. Pound of wings, pitcher of beer, $14. Recovery room. That sounds like fun. I think Gabby's working today at lunch. Who's on today?
I looked at it earlier. I think it's Leah.
Oh, the lovely Leah.
Leah or Gabby. Plus me. I'll be down there and we're getting all set up because we'll be taking off a little early tomorrow, my friend.
Oh, wait. We're doing what tomorrow? Oh, we're going to Las Vegas.
Yeah, buddy.
No kidding.
Vegas, baby. Vegas.
Boy, Matt, I tell you what.
An ether binge in there, maybe, buddy.
There is nothing as depraved as a man in the depths of an ether binge. There really isn't.
Gonna see some dinosaurs.
I would love to see what you're like on ether and ketamine. I'm gonna feed this man some really, really semi-lethal drugs and just see what happens.
Is this bat country?
It absolutely is bat country. Actually, this is bat country compared to out there. There's more bats out here than I've ever seen. You know what? Nighttime in the fall and the spring, you're like, oh shit, are these night birds? Like, no, those are bats. Like, wait, what? Yeah, they're bats. Also, found this out. little ecological disaster looming when you don't see bats around in certain parts of the summer. It means like things ain't exactly working right because bats should be there to eat the mosquitoes and
mayflies and all that other nasty stuff that we'll see in a couple months. But can't wait when it's nice and warm outside.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, this is what we really needed to see, Matt, because while you're always telling a story, you say the same thing probably 500 times in a year. I would imagine that the people downstairs at the bar are your children, and you do anything for them. You bail them out of any situation as long as you're not in jail with them, right?
Yes,
okay. So that's one of your common like little go-tos. What happens if we're in jail? Well, P1 Breacher says we will have bail money for you guys if needed.
Much appreciated.
That is the kind of friend that you really need. That's the kind of friend that you want. The kind that has bail money for you.
Well, the problem is you have all their phone numbers. I don't. So I better be sticking close to you the entire time.
Yeah, I would. And I can talk us out of things a little bit better than you can in that town, I think. Anyhow, Thomas, UWL's Thomas, coming with clarity. Okay, we've asked Rob Dog for some clarification on whatever the fuck the Timmy Trumpet thing is. And Thomas asks, or clarifies this, I should say, Sydney, his friend, is not actually from Sydney. It would be pretty cool if Sydney was from Sydney, Australia, though. Yes, it would, Thomas.
Hell of an accent.
Yes, it would. That would be fun, though, wouldn't it? If you had a friend, Sydney, from Sydney, I would cry a little foul on the parents for being uncreative.
Yeah.
But I could see the humor
What's
in that.
More attractive to you than an English accent or like an Australian accent?
Well, I would say definitely the English accent, because we all know that the Australian accent is basically just it's the penal colony of the Brits from the 1800s. So it was like the less educated English accent. And it turned into, it's like the Southern accent of the English.
Why is that? So was North Carolina. So
that's what I mean. It's like the Southern accent of the English, like actual English colonies. Because again, remember, I mean, the Australian continent is where they sent their, scoundrels out to basically fend for themselves. And they did. That's why I'm not entirely sure. And we need somebody on from an Australian perspective to really confirm or deny. I'm not entirely sure that good eye might isn't also like aloha, where it means good morning, good night, good afternoon, hello, goodbye. Where's my snake? Where's the alligator? Where's the gun? Where's the knife? I'm not sure. Where's my beer? Where's my Foster's? All right, Eric from La Crescent. Before we take a break, Mike Schmidt going to be coming on the program. NSU Wolves head coach says this: late top of the morning to you both. Thank you, buddy. Hell of a pitcher's duel in that Twins game yesterday. Safe travels to Vegas, fellas. Thank you. I didn't see the Twins game. I really didn't see the Twins game, but we've already heard from somebody this morning. I can't remember who it was, mentioning that the Twins were looking good. Joey Miller was mentioning that the Twins were looking really good. So
they're 4-1 as well this year.
There you go. Not as good as the Tampa Bay Rays at 5-0, which is the other team we talked about, but pretty good. All right, when we come back, Mike Schmidt, the uniquely qualified one, going to be joining the show. Don't go anywhere.
Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home, or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate.
I can't sing the praises of Kyle Cable, One Trust Real Estate enough. This guy is amazing, helping me sell the condo on Lake Delton. Looking at some other properties with Kyle. We were just talking off air. You've got a buddy that could be using the services of Kyle Cable. If you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, invest in a home, maybe find some good rentals, Kyle Cable is your dude. One Trust Real Estate. Again, broadcasting live today from the Trauma Center studio, powered by the Recovery Room, where, yes, Matt, you and I are leaving the Recovery Room in the very capable and able hands of your stewards, Nash, Bobby, Leah, Jenna.
Yep. Got a whole wrecking crew plus the backbone in the kitchen. So
that's right.
Should be all right.
That's right. We should be just fine and dandy. Matt won't be sweating this at all. Mike, we always know that when you have a small business owner, especially one that deals in heavy volumes of cash and disposable products like liquor, there's no worries when you're gone for multiple days at a time. And
never, right?
No reason to look over your shoulder every 3 to 5 seconds.
Get a little twitch.
Yeah, no, it's going to be easy sleeping for Matt out there in Las Vegas, I'm sure. How you doing, buddy? Where are you at this morning? Is this the home office?
This is the home office and the home music room, I guess. We got the piano and guitars, and we got trombone is over here. So this is the this is like the center of the chi room here. But we are under about another foot of snow. I like can't even explain how bad this weather has been. Like it's I'm looking out, and I mean there's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet in my yard still. So like we've got some 50s coming next week, but I've never seen anything like this. So I keep getting asked, like, how's spring ball going? I'm like, spring ball, that's like non-existent right now. We're trying to just survive and make sure our roofs don't collapse and make sure we can get out of our driveways. So spring ball is not going great because there is no spring to speak of right now. We literally got a foot of snow. We're still in a blizzard warning. School's been called off. Camp has been called off all week, and in schools yesterday and today. So we're struggling, man. No spring to speak of here. I'm jealous of you guys.
Well, Mike, I've got so many things that I would like to say, but the one thing that I will say is this: your wife must be an incredible musician because she plays guitar, she plays piano, she plays all these things, right? You get a number of chi moments here when you're locked in like Jack Nicholson in the famed movie The Shining.
Right. That is exactly what it's like right now. Yes.
I was wondering, Coach, is there like a community like shovel out program up there in the neighborhood, or how's that all work up there for you guys?
Come on. This is South Dakota. This is rugged individualism. Like if you don't survive, then bleep you. Like you are going down. Like this is the state of Darwinism and freedom and rugged individualism. So if you don't have a snowblower, then screw you. If you can't shovel out, screw you. We're not going to help you. Plow the roads. You think my road's been plowed? My road's been plowed like 6 times in the last 2 years. We don't believe in that stuff. Plow your own damn road. Leave the government out of our life. Come on, Matt.
I was going to say, Matt, that's obviously communism, because if you're looking at a municipality to come and plow roads, then you're obviously looking for a government handout. Like you want big government intervention, because look at how big those machines are when they're out there. Like that's big government intervention. No, I agree, Mike. It's the home of rugged individualism. I actually think that you're missing out on a prime opportunity to show the documentary / training tape of Rocky 4, when he goes over to Russia to fight Ivan Drago. Maybe that's spring ball this year. A lot of wood chopping, right? We could have that. We could have meat locker hitting. There could be somebody, maybe the Holman Meat Locker could donate some large slabs of meat to you guys up there. And then, of course, log jostling. Once you chop the log, then you can put it up on your arms, and that could be lineman drill. I don't know
if that's a new sexual euphemism for you there, Dave. But I'm going to stay away from that one as much as I can. But I do agree. But with Rocky, there are no trees here, because if there's a tree, we've had 70 mile an hour plus winds twice in the last 6 days. So like trees don't stand up around here. So there are no trees, there are no mountains, there are no hills. The sledding hill in town is literally a dugout man-made dirt pile that's about 18 feet high, and that is the sledding hill in town. So like I'm not serious. There's not a hill for like 75 to 80 miles in any direction. So we would have to like go, I don't even know where we'd even go to do any of that. We would just run in the snow. So we'll just run in the snow. I was out trying to do stuff with my yard yesterday, trying to just keep snow off my roof and all this. And literally it is up, it's waist deep around my house to get anywhere right now. So that's still how much snow we have right now.
Well, it is God's country. And, that said, Mike, I think that what's at stake this upcoming year, winning the conference championship. That is what is at stake this year. You need to win a conference championship. You see what I'm saying? Like this is modus operandi number one. NSU wins the conference championship. Everybody that wants in, get in. Anybody that wants out, get out. All right. I remember Fossil. He's like, I'm not losing my fucking job because you guys aren't playing good football. Let's go. We're not losing again. Let's get at this thing. So I'm excited. Wolves football, spring ball, not necessarily a thing. How much do you wish you could be going over just as an attaché to Italy in, I don't know, about a month or so with the boys from UW? Because that sounds like it's going to be a hell of a trip.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, and kudos to Coach Jantz for going through all that. It's a heavy lift. When I was at the University of Dubuque. We went to Italy, and then we went to Barcelona. That Barcelona trip was just an awesome trip for the team and for me personally, being there and having experienced that stuff. So I think that's the fun part here. When I was at lacrosse and at Dubuque, we were able to connect Italy, Spain, and then when I was at lacrosse my last year, I was able to go over to Germany and spend a week there working with their coaches, through their football coaching association. So anytime you can go over there, it's just so much fun and opens the world for all those kids and all those players and really makes that experience great. So hats off, man. We were going to go to Germany the year that I left, and then the pandemic hit, and they weren't able to go, obviously, through that. So I kind of left a mess on Coach Janis's desk there when I left, and he had to deal with that. But now he's done a great job, and I'm so jealous. That trip sounds awesome. So that'll be a blast. I kind of want to go and make sure they would have to babysit me and just add into another guy they'd have to worry about if I'm going to come home from the pub or from the wherever, and make sure that they have to get me in the head count. That'd be fun.
See, I think you'd be football drunk over there, because from what I'm hearing, and guys, this is no joke, but from what I'm hearing more and more, there are like fervent American football fans over in Europe. I think you just have so much fun talking with people who would pepper you with questions for probably an entire day about American football. Briefly, tell Matt and I, because we wanted to get sort of a hold on this when we had Janice on a couple of weeks ago. What kind of environment do you think the Eagles are going to be looking at when they go play some of these teams in Europe? I mean, are they drawing anybody? Is this mostly like, a scrimmage for these teams in large part? Like, what's that going to be like?
No, there's going to be people there. I mean, there's going to be people coming out to watch and do that. Certainly the times we played internationally, there's people that showed up, and a lot of places the town would come out and be there. They're not, I don't know where they're playing at. So maybe they're going to play in some stadiums. A lot of the places we always played at weren't in stadiums. They were literally at like a field or at a park or whatever with, I don't know if even bleachers are a thing that you would even use. So I don't know. I hope that they've got some good things set up there and get some people there. I think it's always just like kind of something you want to go out and see. When I was growing up in the 90s, we had a team from Omsk, Russia, come over and play hockey against us. And our families would like house those families, and they would live with us for like a week or 10 days, and they'd play, and other teams would come and play us. I think we'd play like a tournament on the front end, a tournament on the back end, and you'd have teams from Omaha and Des Moines and Waterloo and whatever would come just to see what was going on and play against them, So I think you're going to have people that are going to come and try to figure out what's going on there. But I think that football has grown immensely in Europe, and the NFL is literally talking about maybe having home bases over there and trying to figure out how to do that. That shows you the growth. I think there was a lot of backlash when NFL Europe left, and it just wasn't a good thing. And so I think the NFL has done a great job these last 10, 15 years now, trying to get a foundation set up, and they've done a really good job. So you're going to have a lot of looky-loos coming out to try to figure out what's going on with this American team there. But, probably not. It's not going to be a European soccer match kind of ruckus and maybe it will. That'd be awesome for them if it was.
It's going to be real hard to sell American players on this thing, guys. Taxes, European taxes.
Yeah.
You're going to have a real hard time biting that one off, because I'm fairly assured that since you're not a full-time resident of Europe, you're still going to be subject to American taxes. And I know for sure that you're subject to European taxes. I think the long-term solution for both the NBA and, the National Football League, Major League Baseball, maybe even perhaps, is setting up permanent bases, places like London, where they're doing now, where they host multiple games a year. Right? Multiple games a year. You can almost put together a full season schedule in these places where you're hosting teams. It might mean teams need to travel more. I can't see that working out from a players association. You'd be taking such a haircut going over there to those countries. We don't need to get into the geopolitics of it, but it's a lot of fucking money. And I just don't see anybody leaving all of that money on the table. Mike, while we've got you this morning, because there's a lot of different things I'd love to pick your brain about, but I do want to just go back to something we talked about last week, Major League Baseball. Now, both you and I were incorrect. Matt killed me, and I still have to pay up this bet. I owe him 2 Stacks Family Farms gummies, that the Brewers and the Cubs home opener went under 2.5 hours. It did. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes. Yesterday, some point, I didn't see the game, but I did hear we had our first game go under 2 hours, 1 hour and 57 minutes. The pitch clock to me is working. It adds another element of excitement to the game. There's something else that really can draw a casual fan in because there is a clock element here. We've seen guys get thrown out of games. Yesterday, I think
it was say, unless you're Manny Machado.
Yeah, Machado got thrown out for arguing. We've seen strikes called. I think this has worked out immensely well. What are your thoughts? Early returns here. I know it is very little sample sizes with this pitch clock in the early portions of the season.
Yeah, I think it's been great for like older fans like that were kind of maybe hesitant or didn't really know and are like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I think a lot of the crowd that I've kind of been around with baseball games here the past week have been like pretty excited about it, and like this whole thing that's kind of happening with it. And I think that there's a lot of promise there with like casual older fans kind of thing. I still think they need to address the actual issue. They need to address, the actual thing here down the road, which is how do you consume baseball and this content online? How do you promote your players better for the younger generation? This to me is great for baseball right now in this moment. I think it's great for fans of baseball right now, but I don't think this necessarily grows the game. I think to me, it's more, it shows that they're willing to change, and then it's been a success. So for Major League Baseball, they might say, oh, well, okay, we can change some things. This is okay. We're going to be all right. We can move forward with some of these ideas, these maybe more progressive ideas, but they still need to find the root here, which is really all about how do you make this consumable for younger people? How do you make it playable for younger people? How do you make sure that kids don't have to buy $380 bats? How do you make sure they don't have to make play or buy $180 gloves? How can you make baseball still more affordable to get more people playing as younger people? How do they consume that online? And then how do they, how can they relate to the players? How do they promote their players more? Pitch clock has been great right now. They're just addressing one of the symptoms. They're not addressing some of the root issues that are in Major League Baseball. There's nothing wrong with the game of baseball, but they're not addressing the issues of Major League Baseball and growing that game.
Coach, I was going to go down with stay in the baseball realm with us. And Dave and I were talking about small market teams, et cetera, and how the Brewers have started out very hot this year. And it's great to see with you being a small market team, et cetera. But the owner came out, I believe it was yesterday. It was Mark Adanazio, and how, they have these three guys in Woodruff, Burns, and they got Willie Adams, and just how they're going to try to keep them going forward, because it doesn't seem like he thinks he can afford them, even though he's worth $750 million. I'm just wondering, what is your opinion on how the Brewers can maintain, or should they consider themselves that small of a market when they have ownership that's worth some money?
I mean, that's all. I don't know if they're going to spend all that money or be able to keep guys. I mean, the guys that we're talking about keeping, I mean, yeah, okay, Corbin Burns would be tough to keep. I mean, that's just the reality of what you're looking at. You're going to pay a guy, $200+ million, $300 million. I don't know where he's going to land at with some of these contracts right now are just getting outrageous. The Aaron Judge contract just kind of throws everything out of whack. And not that those guys are Aaron Judge, but of course they're going to have to spend to keep some of these guys, but we're not talking about them keeping Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani or things like that. They've got to keep some of these guys that are probably mid-level guys, but they've already done that with Yelich and it didn't work out. So if you're Mark Antanasio and everybody's told you to pay these guys, and all of a sudden you go and you pay them, and you pay Lorenzo Cain, and you go and you pay Christian Yelich, and you pay Yelich again a more and sign him to this big contract, and it didn't work out. You didn't go to the World Series. Yeah, you made the playoffs and these things, but you haven't done that. It's gonna be hard to go back to that owner and say, listen, this one's gonna really work out, when in actuality they're still going to the playoffs. They're still getting to those same spots with guys who are lesser paid and aren't worth as much, and guys they can draft and develop. I think what you're seeing right now is early in the season right now. Yeah, you got these young prospects. You got Garrett Mitchell and these guys that are playing, and they're playing for their lives, right? Like they're playing to make the team in spring ball or spring training. Spring training to them is their season. They're making all their money, all their stuff in spring ball. And the Mets, let's just be realistic. That's a veteran team. That's veteran pitching. They're not. How much is Max Scherzer putting in to a game in April in Milwaukee? I mean, not much, right? So he's getting ready for down the road with it. This is where the Brewers are going to make it. Is these young guys are going to keep going, but to pay guys, I don't know. If you're Mark Antanasio, you say, so I'm going to pay Willie Adames $180 million or $200 million. So what? Let's go find another Willie Adames. And I think that's that's the glory of what baseball is right now, is you have teams that are the Yankees and the Astros and buying and paying and doing all that. And you have teams like the Brewers and I guess the Phillies, a team you can look back at the Phillies and what they were as the NL champs last year, paying for Bryce Harper and doing that. I mean, until they go out and pay for a Bryce Harper, then I think it's just kind of keep developing your guys, keep working your scouting department and get to where you're at already.
Well, and that's what I think the larger point, for me, and we were talking about this earlier, Mike, you pay for those guys if you have those guys, right? If it is Bryce Harper, if it's Aaron Judge, if it's the players on the Houston Astros, okay, I can see that happening. Mookie Betts for the Dodgers, fine. You're talking about the top 10 athletes in the sport. But for the Brewers, I think it goes to what we were talking about with the Rays, what we were talking about with the A's, what we were talking about with the Royals. You name a small market team that's had high levels of success in recent seasons, and what you see is really smart managing. You're a coach, so it's really smart managing, and it's also really, really smart scouting. That's the thing that I really believe is the differentiator between teams like Tampa Bay, even the Los Angeles Dodgers, for what it's worth. They've bought players in the recent seasons, but the Dodgers scouting department and farm unit has always been one of the best, if not the best, in all of Major League Baseball. Most every single one of their players are farm raised, so to speak. When you look at what the Brewers have missed on, largely, guys, they've been these huge prospects. The Lewis Brinsons of the world were thought to be surefire superstars. They traded Lewis Brinson for Christian Yelich. I mean, how fucking bad does that trade look for Miami? That's what Lewis Brinson was looked at as a prospect. The Keston Hiura experiment looked great for a season, half a season, his rookie year coming up. Now he's been demoted to minor league baseball. They optioned him. So Milwaukee, if they want to compete to that level, I think that Mike and to Matt, your point as well, these other teams, they'll buy them. The Brewers don't need to do that because, first of all, they shouldn't have to, and they're not in that position. They just need to get better at scouting. I mean, that's really what they have to do in order to get these teams, or to get over some of these other teams. But right now, as they sit at 4-1, I do want to ask you our way too early poll question, Mike, because I'm going to go to sleep on baseball for like 5 months. Where do you think the Brewers end up? Do they win the NL? Do they win the NL pennant? Do they win the World Series? They haven't been one in 41 years, but maybe it's their year. What do you think?
Hey, F it, win the World Series. I mean, if you're 4-1 and we're beating the Mets 19-0, I mean, let it ride in the way too early. This team's going to the World Series. They're going to win the World Series. I think the question is it a sweep in the World Series at this point? I think the question we really got to talk about is, are they even going to lose a playoff game at this point? So that's right fair. Now, I don't know what they're going to. They're for sure not going to lose a playoff game until the World Series, and they could potentially lose a game in the World Series. The question is not, how many games or if they're going to get to the World Series. I think the question right now is, how big are they going to win the World Series by? That's the real question that I think we should be looking at.
Well, and if you're a TV exec, here's going to be the real fun question to ask. Between the World Series that features the Brewers and the Tampa Bay Rays, what gets better ratings? The NCAA Women's Championship game, which did set a record with 9.9 million viewers, or all 7 of the World Series games combined?
Because I would think still the NCAA women's game that's that one.
It's better than Thursday night
interest with what you have. Like that's what it's still like. Part of this is you still have to drive the people, right? Like you still have to. People love Caitlin Clark and they love what's happening with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and people love to tune in for superstars. That's what they want. And even the men's game, this year was kind of like, well, I don't really know who plays for these guys. I don't really know these guys. I'll maybe tune in for a little bit, but you need star power. And if those teams, if the Brewers and if the Rays get there, there's got to be some star power, but nobody will even talk about it. I mean, I watch Get Up intermittently every day, and they haven't even talked about the Milwaukee Bucks, and they just kind of gloss over like the prohibited favorite for the NBA championship is the Milwaukee Bucks. But let's talk about who's going to be the 7 seed in the West, because I really think that's a dangerous team right now on where we're going to find this out. Like they will not want to talk about that at all. And it will get, they might just push that onto like ESPNU or something. We'll have the World Series that day. And there might be some woman who's throwing 80 miles an hour underhand in softball, and they'll have that on instead. And I don't know, we'll all forget about it. And Louisiana Monroe is going to play UAB in a football game in October, and that'll be on ESPN, and the World Series will be on ESPNU.
I tell you what I would vote for as opposed to the World Series if it was those two teams. Actually, I'd pull for the Brewers, of course, but the pickleball slam, dude. I watched the pickleball slam. It
was awesome.
Dude, it was fantastic, man.
John McEnroe was great.
You had, Agassi, you had Chang, you had Roddick, right?
Andy Roddick.
Yeah, Andy Roddick. It was awesome. And now I've been saying this for a while. I really have. I want to play pickleball. See, I don't know if I can get into tennis at this point because I think there might be too many rule nuances for me, right? And it's not that I couldn't hang with a doubles partner, I suppose, but I think pickleball for me would be a lot easier to be able to get into. And Mike, I think it would give me a bit of a workout, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Those guys looked like they were getting, some sweat. They looked like they were getting a little workout. They were older men, but they felt like they were getting into it.
Dave, I play pickleball. Okay, I am. As soon as it warms up out here, I guess we will get back out to the outdoor courts.
September 10th through the 14th, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. We will be back out there, but. We're crafty, man. We are crafty. My partner and I, we are crafty. But we play out here often. So come on out, man. Or we'll get, when I get back there, we'll get together and we'll play some pickleball. I love pickleball. I love playing pickleball. I've been in on pickleball for a while here, and watching it professionally is awesome. It's not quite like that. You're not. It's a little tougher than that and what they make it look like, just smashing it at each other. But I love pickleball, man. Pickleball is where it's at.
Well, I'm juiced. I think that we've got ourselves a new thing, and we can tell the network executives when they do ask us, of course, for our opinions on this, what they should replace Major League Baseball's World Series non-draw between the Brewers and the Rays with. We will tell them more pickleball slam. You can actually just repeat the first one. It's fine. They just rerun it. It'll still get better audience than that baseball game will. All right, Mike, we'll talk to you next week, brother. Have a great one. Thanks for everything.
Thanks,
Coach. Guys. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Coming to the Discovery Channel this fall, Living with a Confederate.
Hi, my name is Travis Tay. A lot of folks around here call me Tay-Tay. Yeah, I share a house with my second cousin. Name's Chandler. He's what some folks around here call eccentric.
Why, hello there. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Chandler Worthington III, and I must admit, them Northerners, they get into my skin, make me hot under the collar, with all that Northern aggression and everything. I always say, you boys just keep your Yankee Doodles out of my sweet potato pie. At least for now, anyway. That's my little joke. Stars and bars may fill my heart, but hopefully, a chiseled chin and a barreled chest fills my loins.
See what I'm saying? I gotta deal with that 24/7.
I'm getting the vapors just thinking about them Northerners coming down here on their big old steeds.
Confederate.
Yeah.
Sports Carnival broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio powered by the Recovery Room. Wants to remind you that the Recov back open at 11 o'clock this morning. That is just 2 hours and 8 minutes from right now. Wing Wednesday is going to be your special. Get yourself, in my estimation, the trauma and or garlic Parmesan wings. Those are some of my favorite. If you feel a little frisky, Flatline, which only comes on the side, is actually a sauce that I thought was going to be way too hot for many of our diners. Not so much. Be bold. Do that Flatline thing.
Oh, you don't have to have it on the side. I've had some people just slather it on there, and it's just kind of
fair.
It's tough for me to watch just because, it's got a lot of spice.
Well, the guys won't put it on for you in the kitchen. You're going to have to do that yourself. We're not going to be responsible for you pussing out and eating that Flatline stuff and being like Chandler Worthington from Living with a Confederate Bleep. That's not going to be what we're going to do. Not at the Recov. You do that to yourself, damn it. I'll tell you what, I was at this place in Vegas once, and you know what? I'll fucking take you there. Steiner's Pub.
Are we going
Cheyenne?
Soon?
Yep, we're going soon.
Hey, buddy.
What up? So I'll take you there. Steiner's Pub. Cheyenne and Wallapai, I want to say, is where it's at. Okay, Cheyenne and Wallapai. Okay, so Steiner's Pub. And there's, I think, a few Steiner's Pubs around Vegas. It's like a mini chain, right? Like there's a few of them around town. Okay, so I walk into this place 2003. I just moved back from LA. And I want some hot wings. And I'm just feeling all the dander of a 23-year-old that's just moving back to Vegas. I was making great money. I was just living
high on life.
God, just drunk on high of life, right? Just drunk with power as a 23-year-old who knew fucking nothing, as it turns out. Okay. So I go into Steiner's Pub and I'm like, you know what, bartender, give me your spiciest wings. You guys can't have spicy wings here. And he's like, our spiciest wings. And I said, yeah, your hottest wings. I said, your hottest wings won't be that hot. Come on, I can take them. I can take them all. So he does that thing that bartenders will do. And now that I'm one, I kind of understand where I'm like, okay, asshole, I'll give you exactly what you're looking for. So he goes back and he probably has these guys. And this is, again, 2003. So we're talking 20 years ago. The guy goes back and probably has something come out of whatever fucking, box with dry ice they kept this thing in, because it had to be mailed from Chechnya and through some other transatlantic route because the country in which it comes from had an embargo with us or whatever. So he puts this hot sauce on, and I mean, they're coming from a bar, and it's a big bar. And as it comes from the kitchen, this wing thing, the guy's holding it out in front of him. He's got gloves on, and I can smell it, Matt. I can smell it. And it's just like this rank. It's like if Malort had a baby with Fireball and exploded in your nostrils.
Probably straight capsaicin, brother.
Dude, I have no idea what it was, but I will tell you this. I attempted to try one. Pick one of these things up, put it in my mouth. The touch of that stuff on my lips. I could not eat any of this meat. The touch of that on my lips sent me into a near convulsion. I go to the bathroom, try to wash my hands. The guy's like, don't go pee, by the way.
Yep.
Don't go pee. Dude, I used the scrubbings, whatever Brillo pad they had in there. No luck. I still later had to go to the bathroom. Mistake. Also, needed to take my contacts out. Thought after many hours,
not a good idea,
I could get that stuff off. Mistake. Had to throw those things away. Now, the point of all this is for young Thomas and Joey Miller and Rob Dog is never fucking tell or ask a bartender for the hottest of anything, including flatline. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. That was my mistake.
Yeah,
mine.
It also depends on the mood that bartender might be in. But yeah, you never really want to fuck with somebody that's serving you a cocktail or a beer or something, because you never know. Just what's your favorite drink? What's your favorite food? Your hottest thing? You never know what you're going to get. So it's better to order something specifically.
Wow. All right. Toma Dan actually checked in on our Facebook group here this morning, Matt. So I wanted to put this back up. Says, good morning, Dave. How about them Brewers? Absolutely, Dan. That's why we're asking the way too early poll question this morning, Matt. I'll take a look at our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney. What do you guys and gals think when you're asked this? The way too early prediction for the Milwaukee Brewers this season, off to an amazing 4-1 start. Will they simply win the NL Central? 45.5% of respondents say they will. Will they absolutely dominate the league like Mike Schmidt said, win the World Series? 36.4% of respondents say that. Or will they just win the NL pennant, go to the World Series, but unfortunately lose to Tampa Bay in 7 games? 18.2% of respondents say that. Matt, what about our Facebook group page?
Top 2 respondents in the Facebook page have win the NL Central at 60%, and then at 19%, they have them winning the World Series.
Okay.
Everybody's got, it's the start of the season, so everybody's got, the promise in the air, and we'll see what happens. And speaking of
promise in the air
of baseball, and speaking of promise in the air, we're looking at that stat or that screen coming up right now with Giannis, my friend.
That's right. Promise in the air for the Bucks. You thinking promise for another championship? I am. Now, the thing that Mike Schmidt brought up here just a minute ago, too, about the big networks giving no love to Milwaukee is absolutely true, because I'm watching this morning, and it's all about Joel Embiid, who had a great game last night versus Boston, right? 52 points. The Sixers eke out a 103-101 win, nearly gave the game away with a few seconds left, which is another story. We don't need to get into that, but all the talk is about how Joel Embiid won the MVP race last night. Listen, Joel Embiid's having a great season, no question. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player on the best team, and he's the only player in the NBA to average over 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists a game this year. Last night, in another ho-hum performance versus the Washington Wizards, Giannis goes for 28, 11, and 10 in 33 minutes. The guy is absolutely the best offensive and defensive player. 33 minutes, 28 points, gets you triple-double like it's no thing. Now, he's not going to give you triple-doubles, as many anyways, as Nikola Jokic, because that's not his thing. His thing is being the best offensive and defensive player. He actually is the MVP. But, and you've brought this up a number of times this season, the Bucks are a better team. They're deeper than the Celtics. They're deeper than the Sixers. And because of that, Giannis isn't going to get that love. And I'm fine with that, because Drew Holiday, say what you will about other teams and their big two or their superstars, Drew Holiday's just as much a superstar as many of these guards. He nearly had a triple-double as well. He had 26, 10 boards, or 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. Bobby Portis had 19 points and 20 rebounds for the Milwaukee Bucks. Chris Middleton didn't even play for Milwaukee. And listen, the Bucks, again, weren't playing the Celtics. I get it. But they were playing a pesky Wizards team who saw lacrosse native, and I wanted to make sure that we brought this up today. Lacrosse native Johnny Davis score a career-high 20 points. Johnny Davis started last night. What did he play, Matt? 33
minutes.
Scored 20 points, grabbed 5 rebounds, had 4 assists.
Also had 2 blocks, 2 steals, and the kid, he had a solid game.
He looked awesome. He looked awesome, and he had a highlight play on the Bucks. He took it down the pipe on the Bucks and threw it down on Milwaukee. Look, Johnny Davis didn't have a great start to this season. I get it. Played in the G League. A lot of expectations for Johnny Davis weren't necessarily met early, but he revamped his entire shot. I was talking to a good friend of his, Bailey Cale, about that at the Recup. They revamped his entire shot. They put him to work in the shop, so to speak, in the G League. The NBA and college basketball are a way, way different kind of game. It's a way different sport altogether in many respects. Look at what we're seeing now. The kid's got a ton of potential, and he's got a really bright future. Again,
he put the work in. Like you said, he put the work in.
He really did, and he's looking fantastic as he continues to ascend. Again, 20 points, 5 boards, and 4 assists for Johnny Davis. Congratulations, Matt. We're out of time, and we're out of here, dude. We are gone for like the next number of days. Check in with us on our Facebook group page. We're going to Vegas. We'll be posting updates. We'll have little video snippets, but no show for the next few days. We've got a lot of partying to do. I can't wait to show you around this piece. It's going to be awesome. I haven't been back in 6 years.
I'm excited. I've never been, so I can't wait to go and see the sights with you, my friend, and let's get out and get some beautiful weather.
Viva Las Vegas. You guys be good. We'll talk to you next week here on the Sports Carnival.
Vegas, baby.